Faster My, good evening to you. It's great to be with you again, and this is Judith welcoming you to our virtual late night lounge. As usual, the doors are open, but instead of the usual sundown fare for the first 3 hours of the programme between 9 and midnight, I'm going to be bringing you a mixture of the festival's finest, the acts that were on stage for the concert last night, and where we had things that unfortunately work fabulously well on stage in the Villa Marina but don't work quite so well on radio, namely dancing. Then I will be replacing those with just a little bit of my choice of some of the performances that I think that you either haven't heard or maybe would like to hear again. So we've got a great mixture of entertainment for the next 3 hours as we go back to the Guild, the Manx Music Festival for the final time for this year, and it has been a wonderful festival. And before I go any further, I just want to say a huge thank you to everybody who was involved in it. All the people who took part and all the people who supported, encouraged and trained them. Together, collectively, it was a fantastic festival. Really was. We're going to start by letting you hear all the young voices who competed for the Sheffield Plate. Now, there were 10 individual voice classes, 10 winners, and they all sang again on the big stage, which is quite an ordeal, I would have thought, for some of the very young singers, but they just sailed through the whole thing, all looked completely at home, and gave wonderful performances. Your chance to hear them all again. And we're going to start with the first young man who took to the stage, and this is Joshua Mooney. He won his individual voice class, and he's going to reprise that. It's a set piece for all the individual voice classes, and we're going to do it exactly as it came on stage. And here's Joshua singing the song with which he won his class, which was the boys' treble solo for school years 1 to 4. So these are young voices. Joshua is accompanied by Patricia Cullen, and here's his song.
Flashing out across the sea, warning all. Shine out through the darkness, shine out clear and bright. Shine out with your message, guiding the ships, bringing them home, safe when they see your light. On the cliff a lighthouse stands, white and red, flashing out across the sea, rocks ahead. Shine out through the darkness, shine out clear and bright. Shine out with your message, guiding the ships, bringing them home, safe when they see your light. From the top a beacon glows, night and day, flashing out across the sea. Keep away. Shine out through the darkness, shine out clear and bright. Shine out with your message, guiding the ships, bringing them home, safe when they see your light.
That was Joshua Mooney, accompanied by Patricia Cullen, a Lynn Marsh song all about the lighthouse. Next on stage was the winner of the girls' solo years 1 to 2. Again, a young voice, and a very convincing win here for Anna Tamarova. Another Lynn Marsh song, and this one is all about the challenges and the delights of going swimming. Anna is accompanied by Graham Kirkland. Wasn't that glorious? Beautiful, clear diction. And that was Anna Tamarova singing for you there. And this is the class, school years 1 to 2. So that is, Anna is aged somewhere between 6 and 7. And I think that these are wonderful voices. And the same with Joshua singing before her, the same age range there. Wonderful, wonderful talent there. Remember these names. You will hear them again, I feel sure. So after Anna Tamarova, we then heard from Zach Colligan. Now, Zach was the winner of the boys' treble solo for school years 5 and 6. Again, it's a Lynn Marsh song. Lynn Marsh loves to write music for children. She also, coincidentally, has a great affection for the Isle of Man. She's been an adjudicator and she has written special work for the Children in Song, the biannual Douglas Buxton concert that involves all school children, which incidentally is coming around this year in June. I'll remind you about that a little bit nearer the time. It's a wonderful, wonderful day, a concert in the Villa Marina that involves all primary school children. And there's always a special work that they all join together to perform, but well worth going along if you can. I'll tell you about that a little nearer the time. But let's get back to the music. Zach Colligan. So he had a song to sing. It's a set for all of the young people. It's a set song. And his, as I say, by Lynn Marsh. And this one is all about riding out the storm. And Zach's accompanist here is Gareth Moore.
Feel
but you can't get off the course. Hold fast to ride out the storm. Darkest stars all have a dawn. A sailor's motto is never say die. So pull together and head for the eye. So pull together and head for the eye.
You know, I love the Sheffield Plate competition and all the qualifying classes for us. And I know I say this every year, but I do mean it at the time. I think the standard of these young singers just gets higher and higher. There, riding out the storm, was Zach Culligan, accompanied by Gareth Moore. And next to sing for us is Kendra Metcalf. Now, Kendra won the girls' solo class for school years 3 and 4. Again, it's a Lynn Marsh song, and I have to confess that this was, this year, one of my favourite songs. Graham Kirkland is the accompanist, and here's Kendra to sing for us all about the delights of singing in the bath.
Singing in the bath is such a lovely thing to do. Shut the bathroom door and you're a star. Nobody will hear you when the water starts to flow. First a little exercise, la 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 la. Add your alpine bath oil and breathe the mountain air. You dilly 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 dilly. Sing it underwater, blue, and wash those worries away. Singing in the bath will make you feel so good inside. Take a breath and see what you can do. How about a pop star who is singing on TV? Just pick up your microphone, shoo-ba-dee-doo-ba-dee-doo-ba-dee-doo. When you feel dramatic in opera's the thing. Piano, Pavarotti, forte. Here comes a cadenza, now for a trill, and wash those worries away. And wash those worries away.
The joys of singing in the bath. But somehow Kendra Metcalf made it sound even more attractive, didn't she? And she was accompanied there by Graham Kirkland. And that was how she earned her place in the Cleveland Medal. Now that could be a prophecy. One day, she could very well be there in the Cleveland Medal test. That's another story altogether for just a bit later in the programme. And so there we are. There's Kendra Metcalf. Now, Daisy Quinn. She won the girls' solo class for school years 5 and 6. Now, there was a lovely little, shall we say, twist or coincidence here, because Daisy qualified for the Sheffield Plate and her dad, Matthew, qualified for the Cleveland Medal. So they were both singing for the highest honours for their respective age groups there on stage on Friday night. And Daisy's dad, Matthew, has a wonderful, wonderful voice. Lovely to hear him back in the Guild again. Of course, you'll be well familiar with him for the shows that he's taken part in. He's been on the Gaiety stage, so we're well familiar with what a good voice he has. But lovely to have him back in the Guild again. So let's listen now to Daisy. As I say, Daisy won the girls' solo for years 5 and 6. Her accompanist is Gareth Moore, and Daisy is going to sing a song by Herbert Hughes. This is all about little boats. Daisy Quinn.
treetops too. Rock-a-bye baby, baloo, baloo. Boats sail away to countries new, and birds will be crossing the billows of blue. Rock-a-bye baby, and so will you. Troubles are many, pleasures are few, but I have a treasure while I have you. Rock-a-bye baby, baloo, baloo.
And that was Daisy Quinn, accompanied by Gareth Moore. Rock-a-bye. That was... I would like to have the opinion of somebody who knows about these things, but I thought that sounded quite a tricky song to sing. But Daisy didn't seem to have any trouble with it whatsoever.
Manx Radio's coverage of the Manx Music Festival is brought to you by SpectrumWindows.im.
Now, the next young man who's going to sing for us didn't really have time to think too much about being in the Sheffield Plate final, because Nathan Jones won his voice class on Friday morning. This is for boys solo years 10 to 13. He won in the competition in the Royal Hall on Friday morning and then had to come back Friday evening to compete for the Sheffield Plate. The other qualifying classes, most of them are held quite early on in the week. So it was all a bit of a whirlwind for Nathan Jones, but didn't seem to have any problem at all. Now, the slight difference with Nathan's class is that it's an own choice. The other songs were set pieces that we've been listening to, and these were an own choice. And Nathan Jones's choice was John Ireland's Sea Fever. He's accompanied by Frank Woolley, and this is how he won his place in the Sheffield Plate final.
I must go down to the seas again, to the lonely sea and the sky. And all I ask is a tall ship and a star to steer her by. And the wheels kick and the wind song and the white sail shaking, and a grey mist on the sea's face, and a great dawn breaking. I must go down to the seas again, for the call of the running tide is a wild call and a clear call that may not be denied. And all I ask is a windy day with the white clouds flying and the flung spray on the blown spume and the seagulls crying. I must go down to the seas again, to the vagrant gypsy life, to the gull's way and the whale's way, where the wind's like a whetted knife. And all I ask is a merry yarn from a laughing fellow rover, and a quiet sleep and a sweet dream, till the long trick's over.
John Ireland's Sea Fever, beautiful, presented there by Nathan Jones, and he was accompanied by Frank Woolley. So he secured his place in the Cleveland. I'm determined to do this, aren't I? The Sheffield Plate final on last Friday night. Now it's time for us to take a break. We're 22 minutes past 9. After the break, we'll be hearing from the rest of the contenders for the Sheffield Plate, and that means we'll be hearing the music of Gwen Thornton, Erin Loach, Lois Mooney, and the young man who has taken the Sheffield Plate home with him for 2018. All of that to come right after this break.
Sundown, brought to you by Tours Isle of Man. Tours gift vouchers are the ideal present for someone special to put towards a coach holiday. Call us on 822 611.
And right now, Sundown is at the Guild, bringing you a review of some of the top performances during the week, a flavour of the festival's finest concert that was in the Villa Marina last night. But right now, we're in the middle of the competition for the Sheffield Plate, the highest honour that the festival can offer to our young singers. And they'd all won through to the final by winning their individual voice class during the week. And we're now going to hear from Gwen Thornton. Now, Gwen Thornton won the girls' solo class for years 7 and 8. She's accompanied by Jill Collins, and this is her song.
Manx Radio's coverage of the Manx Music Festival is brought to you by SpectrumWindows.im.
Shallow slopes and spreading beneath the trees. Wherever I looked in the bluebell wood, there were shadows of apple green shadows under the leaves, where the sun could not be seen. Wherever I looked in the bluebell wood, and the gold of the sun broke through, it seemed that a sea of gold green light was dancing over the blue.
That was Gwen Thornton, accompanied by Jill Collins, and she was singing the song of the Bluebell Wood by Betty Rowe, somebody else who in years gone by has been an adjudicator at our festival and also has written a lot of music for young people. So well done to Gwen Thornton there for, again, I think a difficult song. Next on stage, will you welcome Erin Loach? Now, Erin won the girls' solo for school years 9 and 10. Her accompanist is Frank Woolley, and she's going to sing a Michael Head song, Sweet Chance That Led My Steps Abroad. This is Erin Loach.
Wild flowers grow.
Beautiful singing there from Erin Loach and that Michael Head song, accompanied there by Frank Woolley. Now, Lois Mooney to sing for us. And Lois, it was back on Tuesday of Guild Week that Lois Mooney earned her place in the Sheffield Plate final. And she also is accompanied by Frank Woolley, and hers also is an own choice piece. This is for school years 11 to 13. So we're listening to some of the older singers in this competition. But age doesn't in fact matter. It's because, as the adjudicator was explaining on Friday night, that technically you would say, well, if it went by age, the oldest singers, the more experienced youngsters who are competing, perhaps the ones who are 13, 14, 15, would be the ones that would win. But he said that's not how it is. He's looking for that almost a quality that you can't describe. Maybe it's a promise, maybe it's musicality, maybe it's just something special in the way that that young person delivers that song. But it doesn't matter whether the singer is 7 or whether they are 12 or 13. It doesn't give them any advantage, which is reassuring, because otherwise the young singers might feel that they didn't have quite as much chance as those who are rather more experienced. It is a level playing field in terms of looking for that special quality. So, Lois to sing for us now. And Lois chose a quilter song. It's Over the Mountains. Lois Mooney is singing now, accompanied by Frank Woolley. A very accomplished singer and actress, a very talented young lady, Lois Mooney. I've seen her in various different contexts, right from when she was at primary school. Very talented. But how much talent there is there in those 9 voices that you've heard so far, and 1 still to come? Let's just have a quick look at the screen, because the lovely thing is that there are a few people checking in and listening, and I would like to say a very good evening to the man in black. Thank you very much for your text. Mike and Anne, good evening to you in Peel. Glad to know that you're listening. And Sue and John Parton are listening in the West Midlands in King Swinford. And they are in the lounge again. And they said that they've been all ears this week listening to our Guild reports. And they must say they think that we have a lot of good entertainment. What a lot of talent that you have here on the island, say Sue and John. Sue and John, of course, the island is almost, I would say, their second home, because they have good friends in Ramsey and enjoy visiting us for the TT every year. But Sue and John, I'm really glad that you're enjoying our local talent. We're very proud of every single one of them, but I'm glad that you're enjoying this too. And what I'm trying to bring you between now and midnight is the biggest variety show that we can, to celebrate the conclusion of a very, very successful in its inspiration. The Guild has been inspiring so many different disciplines, such a high standard in all of them. And now we are going to hear from the winner of this year's Sheffield Plate. This was, again, exactly like Nathan Jones, this young man barely had time to think about being in the final because he only qualified in his solo voice class on Friday morning. And he is Evan Darroch. And he is accompanied here by Frank Woolley. And his song is all about the Smugglers. And he won the solo voice class for school years 7 to 9. This is the voice of the holder of the Sheffield Plate for 2018. This is Evan Darroch.
If you wake at midnight and hear the horse's feet, don't go drawing back the blind or looking in the street. Then the task, no questions, isn't told a lie. Watch the war, my darling, while the gentlemen go by. 25 ponies trotting through the dark, brandy for the parson, baccy for the clerk, laces for a lady, letters for a spy. And watch the war, my darling, while the gentlemen go by. Running round the woodlump, if you chance to find little barrels ripped and tarred or full of brandy wine, don't you shout to come and look, nor take 'em for your play, but the brushwood back again and they'll be gone next day. 25 ponies trotting through the dark, brandy for the parson, baccy for the clerk, laces for a lady, letters for a spy. And watch the war, my darling, while the gentlemen go by. If you do as you've been told, likely there's a chance you'll be given a dainty doll all the way from France, with a cap of Valenciennes and a velvet hood, a present from the gentlemen along will be good. 25 ponies trotting through the dark, brandy for the parson, baccy for the clerk, then the task, no questions, isn't told a lie. So watch the war, my darling, while the gentlemen go by, while the gentlemen go by.
And that was the voice of the holder of the Sheffield Plate for this year. That was Evan Darroch, and he was accompanied there by Frank Woolley. And Evan, he's a lovely young man, and he's very, very unassuming, and he was utterly speechless. He was not expecting to win, and he was literally speechless. So I was very pleased to be able to have a chat with his music teacher, who's Gareth Moore. And Gareth was saying that Evan is an absolute delight to teach. He said he loves his music, he works very hard on it, he learns the songs, practices, goes away, practices songs. But he said the thing about Evan is that he has a natural musicality that Gareth was saying you can develop it, you can nurture it, but it has to be there naturally, spontaneously in the first place. But he also said that Evan likes to put his own little touch to the songs. And in fact, if you could have seen Evan singing that, I wish you could, I really do, because he was acting it. He was drawing us into the story of the smugglers, and don't touch anything that you might find, just look the other way as the smugglers go by. And he was acting it out. He was bringing the story alive in a really magical way. So there we are. But I think you will agree, 10 fantastic voices there, weren't they? Very different, Very, very entertaining. And that was our Sheffield Plate competition for 2018. How on earth are we going to follow that? With great difficulty, I would say. I think what we're going to do out of the break that's coming up right now, I think what we're going to do is take you to the Battle of the Bands. Two kinds of bands. Stay with me.
Sundown, brought to you by Tours Isle of Man. For great value, hassle-free, door-to-door coach holidays. Call us on 822 611.
And Sundown is at the Guild tonight, bringing you now, having done the Sheffield Plate, we're now going to move on to the festival's finest, the concert last night on stage in the Villa Marina in the Royal Hall, where we showcased some of the outstanding performances, the biggest variety show that you could think of to celebrate the end of this year's festival. And we opened the show with the way that we, in fact, started the first night of the Guild, which was a week last Friday night with the Battle of the Bands. Now, this is something that's really, really growing in popularity, thanks in no small measure to Soundcheck in Douglas, a great organisation for getting young people into music. They've got about 120 young people who go along regularly to Soundcheck, and they're taught everything from the technical aspect of recording to how to set up bands, how to play musical instruments, write songs. All the help is given there to young people who are interested in their music. And Soundcheck have worked closely with the Guild Committee to get this Battle of the Bands set up. And there are 4 classes, and they were all competed for on the first Friday night, a week last Friday night, the Guild. And we started off with rock and pop band cover versions. This is for school years 7 to 13, so the younger musicians there. And then there was for the same age range for own compositions. And then we moved on to 2 adult classes for exactly the same cover versions of songs and for own compositions. And the own composition was won by a great band, In the Blood. They've got a new CD coming out around about the middle of May, and they're going to have a launch at Noah Bakehouse. Very, very talented, well worth listening out for. But the band who were brought back last night to start the concert on stage in the Royal Hall were a band that went down really well at the Battle of the Bands. They won the cover for the adult age range. They won the cover versions. And let's welcome back now the Bird and the Beards.
Truth is fair to be life, and how the cherry within you that don't you want somebody to love? Don't you need somebody to love? Wouldn't you love somebody to love? Who never find somebody to love? When the garden flowers, baby, I'm telling you, your mind is so full of, yeah. Don't you want somebody to love? Don't you need somebody to love? Wouldn't you love somebody to love? You better find somebody to love. When the truth is fair to be life, love and joy within you that don't you want
is The Bird and the Beards, showing that the Guild really does offer something for every type of music. And now we've got the dance classes growing and growing in popularity, and that is exactly how it should be. That's how the Guild has kept going for 126 years, by just gently evolving and drawing in the classes that people are interested in, and perhaps reshaping some of the ones that there's less interest in, possibly, although we're certainly not doing that at this stage, but moving forward all the time. And I think they make a great sound, The Bird and the Bees. That was their cover of Somebody to Love, the Queen hit from the 1970s. And all they are, they have their lead singer, I think he's got a terrific voice, 2 acoustic guitars and a cajon, you know, the drum that you sit on, and the that's you know what I mean. And I'm sure it's a cajon, isn't it? And I think they make a terrific sound. So listen out for them. They were the winners of the cover versions class, and it was a great night, adjudicated by former Strangler Paul Roberts, who's got a great sense of humour, and you could tell he did like to clown around a bit when he wasn't doing the adjudicating, but when he was talking to the bands, a lot of very, very useful advice, quite straight in what he was saying, but definitely still cared very, very much about encouraging and inspiring new young bands, and was very keen to say to them, you know, listen to other people's music, but don't copy it. Do your own thing. Listen to it, be inspired by other people's music and the way they write stuff, but then go on and do your own thing, develop your own style. So it was really interesting to listen to him, really concentrating and giving the band some very good feedback. So that was that Battle of the Bands a week last Friday night. But in the couple of days that followed, we had a battle of other bands. That's right, brass bands, because traditionally the first weekend of the Guild is always full of brass band music and solo individual brass instrument classes, and we heard some fine playing. And the winners of the brass quartet group were invited back to the concert last night, and they were a quartet drawn from Manx Concert Brass, and they played a selection of 3 Latin American dances. This is one of them. That was Manx Concert Brass, a quartet drawn from Manx Concert Brass, and that was one of their 3 Latin American dances. It was a class-winning performance, a very good Guild for Manx Concert Brass. They took away a number of the glittering prizes, including the concert class prize. Now, let's hear from Sophie Killier. And Mandy Griffin was talking about Sophie, and she said Sophie is an example of what the Guild is all about. She said that Sophie was in the Guild last year, and she said it was all right, but she felt she could do better, and so she went away and. Based on what she'd learned, experience of being in the Guild, she said that she went back and she did a bit more work on her songs, and she came back this year and she won her class with 89 marks. So well done to Sophie Killier. It was the general vocal solo class that she won. She's accompanied here by Graham Kirkland, and it's an Erin Copeland song, Chingering Chaw. This is Sophie Killier.
Listen to this story about the promised land and the promised glory. You don't need to fear if you have no money. You don't need none there to buy you milk and honey. There you'll ride in style, coach with 4 white horses. There the evening meal has 1, 2, 3, 4 courses. Ho-a-ding-a-ding, come lucky. Ching-a-ring, ching-ching, ho-a-ding, come lucky. Nights we all will dance to the harp and fiddle, waltz and jig and prance, cast off down the middle. When the morning comes, all the grand and splendor, stand out in the sun and hear the holy thunder. Brothers, hear me out. The promised lands are coming. Dance and sing and shout. I hear them hopes are strumming. Ching-a-ring, ching-ching, ching-a-ring, ching-ching, ching-a-ching, 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 ching-a-ring-a-ching-ching, ching-a-ring-a-ching-ching, ching-a-ring-a-ching-a-ring-a-ching-a-ring, ching-ching-ching-choo!
Wow, that was a great end, wasn't it? And Sophie not only won her class, the general vocal solo class, but she was invited to come back and sing that song again on stage last night, which she did, accompanied on both occasions by Graham Kirkland. And a special mention has been paid, and I'm going to do it again, to our accompanist who worked so hard this week. As the adjudicator, Geoffrey Wynne Davis, said last night, he said he spends all his time going around festivals, as you would imagine. And he said, the festivals I go to, he said, they would give anything to have one of your accompanists, just one of them. And he said, here you are with, I think it's 9 that we have. So, but we know just how precious they are, and they're not going anywhere. Right, but we are actually heading towards 10 o'clock. Let's take this break. What have I got for you after 10 o'clock? I have got, let me give you some clues. If you're a fan of Gracie Fields, you're going to love songs I'm going to play for you in a few minutes. But right after 10 o'clock, it'll be the rhythm of life. Don't go away.
Judith Ley, Manx Radio.
Sundown, brought to you by Tours Isle of Man. If you would like to receive our door-to-door 2018 coach holiday brochure, phone 822 611.
And welcome back to Sundown at the Guild, bringing you now a flavour of the concert, the festival's finest, a celebration of some of the top performances throughout the week. And the next one, you're going to love what you're going to hear, but I just wish that you could have seen what we saw on stage, because this is Balacotia School doing their action song. They won the class, and it was such a clever routine. It's just impossible to describe. It really is. There were 3 groups of children who all moved around in a perfect formation, synchronized arm movements. We even had some acrobats who came on in the middle. It was just stunning, and massive congratulations to Katie Lawrence, who made the whole thing happen. That lady is just an inspiration, and where she gets her ideas from, well, just terrific. Enjoy the music. Imagine a perfectly choreographed routine to The Rhythm of Life, accompanied by Gareth Moore. This is the Balacottia School Choir and the winners of the Action Song class. And by the way, just listen to the applause, particularly at the end. See what I mean about the applause? The audience loved it so much that they just there was no suggestions. It was the end of the song. They just loved it so much they had to start clapping and cheering, and rightly so. It was a wonderful performance by the Balacottia Junior Choir there, and that was their action song, of course, "The Rhythm of Life." And it really was great. But we also had Cronkyberry and Coaig schools who were also class winners yesterday. So congratulations to both of them. And do remember that we have local music on Sundown every single week throughout the year. And so I'm going to have lots of opportunity to play the performances that we're clearly not going to get in before midnight. So, and Cronkyberry and Coaig are great examples of that. They will certainly be featuring in our local music feature that we do around about 11:15 every Sunday night, except we won't be doing it tonight because we've got quite a lot of local music going on right through solidly until midnight. But we will, of course, be having our usual date with the History Man at 10:30. That is not affected by this at all. So we'll be joining Terry Kringle at around about 10:30. Now, I think it's high time that we had a little bit of Manx dialect, don't you? And the Cashin family had an extraordinarily successful guild. John Cashin is going to feature next, and he was the winner of the Manx dialect class for Year 11 and over. It was a test piece, The Calling of the Name by Cushag. And John won the class, and he was invited to come back and to recite his poem again in the concert last night, which he did. And he just said very enigmatically before he started it, he said, "Now what is this about? Is it about life and death? Or is it about the little people?" He said, "It's up to you to decide." This is John Cashin and Calling of the Name by Cushag.
Calling of the Name by Cushag. I was down alone in the morning. Nobody else was near when my name was going a-calling, low and soft and clear. None was I seeing around me, never a face of clay, and my name was going a-calling, just at the close of day. The childer is like were calling, wouldn't you they'd be for a twilight game in the haggard, under the tramming tree. None of the children was near me. Gone to their homes they were. And my name was going a-calling over the money there. Yes, Daddy, as like was calling. Wouldn't you help a while? Driving the sheep he would be over beyond the stile. Daddy was gone to the mountain. I saw him against the sky, and my name was going a-calling like a whisper passing by. There's them that sometimes calling low in the evening hour, and if you give them answer, they have you in their power. A voice when the night is falling, a whisper on the air, and seeking to draw you to them, down in the money there. Mammy, the voice a-calling, calling my name to me, was his that long is lying cowl in the cruel sea. You'll leave goodbye with my daddy, and lay me on my bed. Childveen, Childveen, what ails thee? I answered it, she said.
A class-winning performance there, dialect poem by Cushag, by John Cashin. And on the same time, at the same evening, Ori Wilson, who is John Cashin's grandson, he won the Manx dialect for up to Year 10. Again, there's choice of set pieces by Cushag, and this is a winning performance from Ori Wilson.
Gillian Vega by Cushag. I heard the Gillian Vega at the break of day, on a merry, merry morning in the month of May. They were hammering and clamouring and making such a din, and yet there's fellas doubting that the like is in. Clink-a-link, clink-a-link, link-link-lin. Clink-a-link, clink-a-link, the hammers ring. Clink-a-link, clink-a-link, ding, ding, ding. and yet there's fellas doubting that the like is in. They were hammering their barrels in the cooper's cave, sending up the chips to meet the brimming wave, working in the hollows of the Cushlan hill, turning up the dandy boots and tackle still. Clink-a-link, clink-a-link, link-link-lin, clink-a-link, clink-a-link, the hammers ring. Clink-a-link, clink-a-link, ding-ding-ding, and yet there's fellas doubting that the like is in. I heard them in the cave behind the waterfall, merry voices echoed by the rocky wall, and whilst the bay was covered with the chips that flew, and every chip became a boot with all its crew. Clink-a-link, clink-a-link, link-link-lin, clink-a-link, link-a-link, the hammers ring. Clink-a-link, link-a-link, ding-ding-ding, and yet there's fellas doubting that the like is in. Oh, lucky is the morning in the month of May, when you hear the Gillian Vega at the break of day. They were hammering and clamouring and making such a din, for they knew the herring's coming and there's plenty in. Clink-a-link, clink-a-link, link-link-lin, clink-a-link, clink-a-link, the hammers ring. Clink-a-link, link-a-link, ding-ding-ding, for they knew the herring's coming and there's plenty in.
Another Manx dialect poem by Cushig there, a class-winning performance from John Cashan's grandson, Ori Wilson, keeping a strong family tradition going. A couple of poems for you next, but just ahead of that, Dave Neal, thank you very much indeed for getting in touch. Text just in from Dave Neal, and he said that, I'm just getting it up on screen now so I can read exactly what he says. He said, it was really good to hear the Bird and the Beards. They performed at my birthday party on Friday night, along with Castletown Metropolitan Silver Band and Little Bit of Rosie. And it was all at Port St Mary Town Hall. They were all brilliant. Thank you to you all, says Dave Neal. So, belated, but happy birthday to you, Dave. And really glad that you had a great celebration. It does sound like a real good mix of music. Dave, in another text, you're mentioning something that's a concert, perhaps, in the Civic Centre on Tuesday. Text me the details, please, Dave, and we can mention it in our What's On guide a little bit later in the programme. But now back to our poetry, and this one is from Amelia Corris. And Amelia won the Year 6 spoken word class with this poem called Star Turn.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are proud to present on this auspicious occasion the one, the only, the amazing, the tremendous, the sensational, the eighth wonder of the world in all its phenomenal glory. My body, plus, of course, its clothes. Marvel with me, if you will, at the chambers of my heart, with their cunning one-way doors, pumping my blood around 100,000 times every single day. And don't you have to admire my more than 200 bones, 600 muscles, 25,000, yes, 25,000 cells in my brilliant brain. And for our grand finale, I request silence. Lower the house lights, please, for a live demonstration of something beyond belief. Prepare yourselves for the sight, wondrous to behold, of this stretchy waterproof bag that I've come to know as my skin. Isn't it fantastic how something so thin can hold so much in?
A wonderful performance there. The poem is called Star Turn and it was recited by Amelia Corris. Now, this is Talia Giuliani, and Talia won the Year 2 spoken word class with a poem all about a snowman.
The Snowman. Anonymous. Once there was a snowman. Stood outside the door. Thought he'd like to come inside and run around the floor. Thought he'd like to warm himself by the firelight red. Thought he'd like to climb up on that big white bed. So he called the north wind. Help me now, I pray. I'm completely frozen, standing here all day. So the north wind came along and blew him in the door. And now there's nothing left of him but a puddle on the floor.
Just beautiful. That was Talia Giuliani and the poem about the snowman. And she is very young, as I say, winner of the Year 2 spoken word class. And she strode out onto the stage in the Royal Hall there last night and delivered that poem so confidently, as indeed all the young people did. Now, here's a golden moment. Alan Wilcox, who continues to give so much to music on this island and has done over a number of years. This was just a precious moment from the concert last night. Mr. Alan Wilcox was invited back to sing for us because it is 50 years since he won his last Cleveland medal, and for many, many years he was the only person to have won 4 Cleveland medals. He's singing a song that I know that you will love. He's accompanied by Gareth Moore. This is Alan Wilcox.
Some enchanted evening, you may see a stranger, you may see a stranger across a crowded room, and somehow you'll know even then, that somewhere you'll see her again and again. Some enchanted evening, someone may be laughing, you may hear her laughing across a crowded room, and night after night, as strange as it seems, the sound of her laughter will sing in your dreams. Who can explain it? Who can tell you why? Fools give you reasons, wise men never try. Some enchanted evening, when you find your true love, when you feel her call you across a crowded room, then fly to her side and make her your home. All through your life you may dream all alone. Once you have found her, never let her go. Once you have found her, never let her go.
So popular. That was Alan Wilcox, accompanied by Gareth Moore, singing the massive hit from South Pacific, Some Enchanted Evening. 1968 was the last time that Alan won a Cleveland medal. And for many, many years, as I say, for a good number of years, he was the only person to hold 4 Cleveland medals. Still giving so much to our island music, as the musical director, of course, of the Regal Singers. Alan, it was just great to see you on stage as a solo singer over this guild. Thank you for that. Let's take this break, and we will be heading towards our date with the History Man around about 10:30. But we are also packing in as much of the greatest hits of the Guild as we can on sundown between now and midnight. And Sue Kinraid, thank you very much for your text. Sue, yes, this programme will be available not just on demand, but it will be forming our Guild archive. What you need to do is go to our website, manxradio.com, and select not the on-demand tab, but if you go to the to on air, and you get a drop down menu and it says blogs, click on blogs and you will find a whole set for the today. It's called Today at the Guild, which is nominally what we're calling all the programmes, and you will find one for each day, the coverage that we've given each day, together with a list of the performances. So if there's something particular you want to listen to, you can go to exactly the right programme that you want to listen to it. You can just look at the printed list and say, oh yes, I want to hear, whoever it might be, Manx Concert Brass or Ramsey Town Band, and you can see which programme they're in and then listen to that. And that is not just there for 7 days, that will be there indefinitely. So you can recommend it to friends, perhaps send the link to family members away who might like to listen. It's a permanent record of the richness of our Guild.
Manx Radio's coverage of the Manx Music Festival is brought to you by SpectrumWindows.im.
Right, now just before we join Terry Kringle, I think we've just got time for one more piece. And let's make it this one. Sing Up is a drama and music group that is run by Olivia Black, who a very, very talented singer and actress herself. And she inspires lots of youngsters. They really take so much. You can tell they love learning. They love their music and the spoken word, and great supporters of the Guild. Here's 4 of them. 4 of them presenting Little People from Les Miserables. For a quartet from Sing Up. Getting a lot of support from a very enthusiastic audience.
They laugh at me, these fellas, just because I am small. They laugh at me because I'm not 100 feet tall. I tell them there's a lot to learn down here on the ground. The world is big, but little people turn it around. One can roll a stone, and we can swing a bear. A fly can fly around the sky, the flies don't care. A sparrow in a hut can make a happy home, and we can write the bottom of the Pope in Rome. Goliath was a bruiser as tall as the sky, but David were right and gave him one in the eye. I never read the Bible, but I know that it's true. It only goes to show what little people can do. A one can roll a stone, and we can sing a bear. A fly can fly around the sky, the flies don't care. A sparrow in a hut can make a happy home, and we can make the
I love to play the applause, and then you get a flavour of what was going on in the Royal Hall last night. 4 little people with huge talent from the drama and music group Sing Up that is run by Olivia Black, and they were singing Little People from Les Miserables. Now, unfortunately, there are some wonderful classes in the Guild that just don't translate to the radio. Clearly, dancing doesn't, and we have 2 sorts of dance that now form either end of the Guild. We started off in the first weekend with ballet, tap, contemporary dance, group dancing, wonderful classes. Just an absolute delight to sit there in the Royal Hall and watch all these talented young people with some brilliant choreography, very imaginative, and such skill and poise, and really the fruit of a lot of hard work and skillful direction by their teachers. Lovely classes to enjoy, and thank you for that. And they also featured last night in the concert, as you would imagine, but sadly don't really work on the radio. Well, not until we really improve our technology. And also that some lovely classes to look at were yesterday afternoon in the Royal Hall, because we had the more traditional dancing. And let me just tell you who took away the top honours there. We had Manx folk dancing up to year 6, brought a first place for Arbury School 1. Then we had the Sharon Rye School of Dance had the RDS Team 1 in the country and national dancing up to year 6 class, and that produced a first place for them with the high called cap was their dance. Then Perrybane, looking magnificent as they always do, won the country and national dancing class for years 7 to 13, and Perrybane also won Manx folk dancing years 7 to 13. The Morris or sword dance, which is always a favourite of mine, I love to see that done. That was a win for Arbury School with a very good mark, 89 marks. And then we finished the afternoon with country or national dancing adult class, and it was the Rhythm of Bulgaria that won that class with a very creditable 86 marks. But sadly, not something that we can include on the programme tonight. Something else that doesn't really work on radio, unfortunately, are the character studies and the choral speaking, simply because there is movement and pausing, and in the case of choral speaking, the action, as you might say, moves between various people in the group, and if it's away from a microphone, you lose the sense of it, and you listen to it and you can't get a sense of how very good it was to listen to it live. You know, it's good to know, actually, isn't it, that there are some things that will always be better live, and that certainly is one. Choral speaking, you really do have to be there to get its full value, and I do try not to put anything on the radio where you're not getting the full value of the performance. And the other thing that loses when it's on the radio is the character study, because there are often absolutely essential pauses in the portrayal, in the speech that the person is giving. The pauses are essential, but which are fine when you can see the actor, but can be a bit disconcerting on radio. You're waiting for the voice to come back, and again, if there is movement around the stage. And that's why I'm not playing for you the character study that we enjoyed on the stage of the Royal Hall last night, because it wouldn't have had its full force and great skill, because the young man who had won his class and was reprising his role on stage last night is another member of the Cashin family, and he is another grandson of John Cashin. He is Joseph Long, and he chose a very challenging part. He was Mickey from Blood Brothers, but Mickey, when he's in a very distressed stage of his life, he's an adult, and the humour has gone out of his character. All the sadness and the conflict is there, and Joseph portrayed this beautifully. So thank you for that, Joseph. And the Cashin family just had such a good guild. John's daughter Anita actually won the class for reciting from the works of T.E. Brown, so that was all the generations. There was Dad John, there was his daughter Anita, and 2 grandsons, and there may very well have been other Cashins around about in other classes, but certainly those are the ones I know about, and well done to you all. Right, well, having caught up there, how about a little bit of a giggle with Marilyn Cannell? Now, Marilyn retired last year as an official accompanist, and we thought that she might just perhaps, play for 1 or 2 friends where you can bring along your own accompanist, or maybe she would just sit in the audience and enjoy listening to the classes. Oh no, Marilyn has become, in the space of the last 12 months, a most accomplished competitor. And here she is. She won the Comic Song and Music Hall class. She's accompanied by Gareth Moore, and she's going to explain it to you herself, because it's a very sad story, this, very sad indeed. She's a frustrated musician, you know.
You know, Gareth, I am a thwarted musician.
I don't know what you mean, Marilyn.
Well, it's all in the song, so I think we'd better get going. Thank you. Christmas is coming, Christmas is coming, Christmas is coming once more. But I'm not delighted or even excited. My hopes have been blighted before. So full of elation, with joy in my heart, to join in the revels I rushed. And then I just waited a chance to depart, forgotten, neglected, and crushed. For I took my harp to a party, but nobody asked me to play. The others were jolly and hearty, but I wasn't feeling so gay. They might have said, play us a tune we can sing, but somehow I don't think they noticed the thing. When I took my harp to a party, nobody asked me to play, so I took the darn thing away. They asked Mrs. Morgan to play her mouth organ, and somebody else did a dance. They let Mrs. Carter perform a sonata, but I wasn't given the chance. Some North Country person called Sandy McPherson played the bagpipes and took off his coat. Then both the Miss Fawcett's burst out of their corsets when trying to hit the top note. For I took my harp to a party, but nobody asked me to play. The others were jolly and hearty, but I wasn't feeling so gay. They might have said, play us a tune we can sing, but somehow I don't think they noticed the thing. How could they miss a harp? I took my harp to a party, but nobody asked me to play, so I took the darn thing away. We sang Home Sweet Home and the banks of Loch Lomond, all the king's horses and trees. Then nephews and nieces were playing their pieces, spreading the jam on the keys. A daughter called Lena played some concertina, and we all played ridiculous games, till old Mr. Dyer set his whiskers on fire, and the fire engine played on the flames. Oh, it was all go, I tell you. For I took my harp to a party, but nobody asked me to play. The others were jolly and hearty, but I wasn't feeling so gay. I felt so ashamed at not striking a note that I tried to shove the thing up and down my coat. I took my harp to
think we're going to hear a lot more from that lady in guilds to come. I certainly hope so. Marilyn Cannell, who took her harp to the party, recreating a famous Gracie Fields song, and she won the Music Hall and Comic Song class with that. She was accompanied by Gareth Moore, both in voice and piano.
Manx Radio's coverage of the Manx Music Festival is brought to you by SpectrumWindows.im.
And it was happy anniversary to Emily Coates, who took to the stage in the Royal Hall last night. An anniversary, 10 years since she won the Sheffield Plate. And I was just having a look at the list, and it was 2 years prior to Emily winning it that her sister Freya won it. And I'm not sure, but I'm sure that people can help me with this, but I can't see another instance where sisters have each won the Sheffield Plate, so that might just be something a little bit special to the Coates family. But 10 years ago, 2008, Emily won the Sheffield Plate. In the 10 years that have followed, she has been away and trained. She sings like a bird. She is a teacher at Ballacameen. She inspires other young people. And who can forget her magical performance as Christine in The Phantom of the Opera just a few years ago on stage at the Gaiety? Just brilliant. She's singing as well, or probably better than ever. And she won her class with an aria from Peter Grimes. Now, I can do no better than to quote Mandy Griffin, who compared last night's concert superbly with the assistance of Jack Divers. And she said, now, I'm not going to try and tell you the story of Peter Grimes because it's a bit complicated. And she said, I'm not trying to do it in 15 seconds, but she said the aria is sung by a character called Ellen Orford, who's a school teacher. And Peter Grimes believes that everybody in the village is against him. He thinks nobody likes him. But Ellen Orford believes in him. And Peter Grimes is very keen to make a lot of money as a fisherman. And unfortunately, he works the boys very hard, the boys that work for him. And one of them has died. And the village believes him to be responsible for this. But Ellen Orford isn't so sure. And she keeps faith in Peter and she tries to see the best in him until a boy's jersey is washed up on the beach, and she begins to have second thoughts about Peter Grimes. And she sings this aria: embroidery in childhood is a luxury of idleness. This is Emily Coates.
I was bruised.
Emily Coates, accompanied by Madeleine Kelly and the embroidery aria from Peter Grimes. We are heading to the news with this break. We've another hour from the Guild between 11 and midnight. Stay with me, I've got some absolute gems still to play for you.
Sundown, brought to you by Tours Isle of Man. If you would like to receive our door-to-door 2018 coach holiday brochure, phone 822 611.
And welcome back to our final hour of coverage of the 2018 Manx Music Festival, the Guild. And as you heard on that news bulletin and on bulletins throughout the day, the winner of this year's Cleveland Medal is Paul Costain. And what a popular win. You know, quite honestly, everybody who was singing for the Cleveland Medal on Friday night, any one of them could have won it. Everybody sang so well and brought all their personality to some very difficult music. But the shout that went up when Paul's name was announced, it was just great. And again, a very, very unassuming person just paid tribute to not only the other people who were singing, but also to the two ladies who've been great inspirations to him. The late Gladys Skillicorn, who he said was just so instrumental in developing his voice. And now, he said, Eleanor Shimmin, his present music teacher. And Eleanor, who's produced lots of Cleveland Medal finalists and Cleveland Medal winners. And I said, what do you think it is that makes Eleanor such a good teacher, such a special teacher? And he said, quick as a flash, he said, patience. He said, and she puts up with me. I don't somehow think that that's too difficult. We will, of course, be hearing Paul sing for us just a little bit later in this hour. But now, Manx Concert Brass have had a very successful guild. Manx Concert Brass won the concert class for brass bands, and one of their quartets, the Manx Concert Brass Quartet A, were invited back to the concert last night to play for us a selection of 3 Latin American dances. Here's another one of them. Thank you to Manx Concert Brass, the Quartet A. They won their class and they reprised their 3 Latin American dances for us in the concert last night. That was one of them. Now, Platform Theatre School are on stage for us now. Now, Platform Theatre School had to do a little bit of juggling around come the night because they won their class earlier in the week and they were invited to come back and to perform in the concert last night. But their principal is Leandra Lawler, and she wasn't available last night because she was acting in a play. She was, in fact, in the play For the Fallen, John Young's play that we were talking about. Do you remember I was talking to Bob Harrison about it on this programme just a few weeks ago? And Leandra was involved in that. And so she couldn't be there. She was there when looking after the group when did their original competition, but she couldn't come back on last night for the concert. Because of it wasn't a night time when the class was taking place. The original class was taking place. However, she need not have worried because Christine Sutcliffe took her place conducting the Platform Theatre School, and they reprised their class-winning performance. Gareth Moore is their accompanist, and this is how they sounded. Platform Theatre School and True Colours. Again, there's lots of support for them from the audience.
It's hard to take courage in a world full
It happened again, you see. The audience was so loving the performance, they couldn't wait to start the applause. But the Platform Theatre School, they carried on like the true professionals that they are, carried on and finished the proper ending of the song, despite the great roar from the audience. That was just great. It was a terrific atmosphere in the Royal Hall last night. Quite really good audience. There were one or two free seats. So next year, come on, we want those free seats filling up, But it was a great audience, very, very appreciative, loving everything that was on stage. That was the Platform Theatre School and True Colours. Now, the lovely thing about them, there's quite an age range in that group, but they all had a vital part to play in that. And as I say, Leandra Lawler, who is the principal of Platform, couldn't be there because she was acting herself, but well done to Chrissy Sutcliffe, who took charge, and their accompanist was Gareth Moore. Well, we've got to do a bit of business now. We've got our What's On guide, so let's do that next, and we'll come back to the Guild in just a few moments.
Sundown, brought to you by Tours Isle of Man. Tours gift vouchers are the ideal present for someone special to put towards a coach holiday. Call us on 822 611.
And welcome back to Sundown at the Guild for the last time for this year. Well, Ruth Tickle has 2 Cleveland medals to her credit. The last one she won in last year's Guild 2017. This year, she went for a little bit of enjoyment in one particular class. She joined in the Comic Song and Music Hall class, ably assisted by Gareth Moore. And this is their performance, which was also on stage in the Royal Hall last night.
Gestures are quite overdone. Share the glory. Oh, please. I assure you that he is content to be behind me, content there in the rear. To feed my every need and never ever interfere, for he has no ambitions. He shared them long ago. He'll never claim applause or fame, and that is why I love him so. Does he bang? Kill him if he did. Is he rigid like a grid? No. He yields to my voice with its every inflection, obeying my whims and my every prediction. Content to be behind me and follow my command. Content to play whatever I say, like a chestnut now and then. I know, let's do the trot again. In einem Büchlein you see how quickly he complies. Delilah, she forel, believe me, he's very wise. He goes from Napoli to Faro and knows it's all
nothing to add except, boy, oh boy, can this guy play?
Well, I think you'll agree, a great performance there from, and did you hear the audience? Very well received, and a great performance there from Gareth Moore as the pianist, and the wonderful voice of Ruth Tickle. Content to be behind me. Or maybe he wasn't. And now some piano playing of quite a different style. We have been paying tribute to our official accompanists, and a few times during this programme I've mentioned that various singers have been accompanied by Madeleine Kelly. Well, now we're going to hear Madeleine with the spotlight completely on her, because not only is she an official accompanist, but this year Madeleine once again took part in the composition class in the Guild, and this was simply to compose something that had a Manx theme. And the three very fine musicians took part in it. Marilyn Cannell took part in it with a lovely piece that she composed. So did Madeleine Kelly, and so did the wonderful Tim Price, who is my engineer and who makes all these recordings possible. I wouldn't be able to do a thing without him, and it's a good opportunity for me to pay special tribute to him. He's worked incredibly hard over the last 10 days, and Tim, I really appreciate it. He actually took first prize in the composition class. He wrote a lovely piece called Trait de l'Or, and it's for clarinet and piano, and in fact performed it on the night. But now we're going to hear Madeleine playing her own composition. This was called Little Bird, and playing her own piece of music. This is Madeleine Kelly. Guild official accompanist and a beautiful pianist in her own right, Madeleine Kelly, and her own composition, Little Bird. Let's take this break, and then I think there might be time just to put in another Klaus winner that wasn't actually featured in the concert last night, but singing a song that I'm sure you're going to enjoy right after this.
Sundown, brought to you by Tours Isle of Man. For great value, hassle-free, door-to-door coach holidays. Call us on 822 611.
And Sundown is still at the Guild right up until midnight. Now, there were some choir classes in the Royal Hall yesterday morning, and congratulations to Cronky Berry Choir, who won the mixed choirs up to Year 2. And for school choirs under 150 on the register, it was a first place for Cuaig School, and you can be sure I'll be playing those winning performances on our local music features on Sundown in the weeks to come. As I mentioned to you, Ballacottia won the action songs, and then in the concert class, this is for up to school year 13, the Xenakis singers from Ballacameen High School took a first place with 89 marks, and this is the start of their programme. Isn't that a beautifully stylish performance there from the Xenakis singers? Bear in mind that this concert class is only for up to 18-year-olds. They're from Ballacameen High School, and I promise you I'll play you some more of their concert programme. A couple more songs from that, again, to come on Sunday nights in the weeks ahead. But now it's the moment you've been waiting for. I know it is. The man himself. Here he is on stage, the winner of this year's Cleveland Medal Test. His accompanist is Pat Cullen. He is Paul Costain. This is what he chose to sing for us on the stage of the Royal Hall last night.
It's one thing being poor, but looking poor. Dear Lord, you have made many, many poor people. I realize, of course, there is no great shame in looking poor and being poor. What would have been so terrible if I were to have just one gold medal? If I were a rich man, yaga-digga-digga-digga-digga-digga-dum, all day long I'd biddy-biddy-bum. If I were a wealthy man, I wouldn't have to work hard. Yaga-digga-digga-digga-digga-digga-digga-dum. If I were a biddy-biddy rich, digga-diddle man, I'd build a big tall house with rooms by the dozen right in the middle of Douglas Town. A fine tin roof with real wooden floors below. There could be a one long staircase just going up and one even longer going down, and the one more leading nowhere, just for show. I'd fill my yard with chicks and turkeys and geese and ducks for the town to see and hear, squawking just as noisily as they can. With each line would land like a trumpet on my ear, as if to say, here lives a wealthy man. If I were a rich man, yaga-digga-digga-digga-digga-digga-digga-digga-dum, all day long I'd biddy-biddy-bum. If I were a wealthy man, I wouldn't have to work hard. Yaga-digga-digga-digga-digga-digga-digga-dum. If I were a biddy-biddy rich, a digga-diddle man, I'd see my wife, my gold, looking like a rich man's wife with a proper double chin, supervising meals to a heart's delight. I'd see her putting on airs and strutting like a peacock. Ooh, what a happy mood she's in. Screaming at the servants day and night, get your ass in here now! The most important men in town will come to fawn on me. They will ask me to advise them, like Solomon the Wise. If you please, Rabbatavia, pardon me, Rabbatavia, posing problems that will cross a rabbi's eyes. Bye-bye, bye-bye. And it won't make one bit of difference if I answer right or wrong. When you're rich, they think you really know. If I were rich, I'd have the time that I lack to sit in the synagogue and pray, and maybe have a seat by the eastern wall. And I'd discuss the holy book with the learned men 7 hours every day. This would be the sweetest thing of all. if I were a rich man. Yagga-digga-digga-digga-digga-digga-digga-digga-dum. All day long I'd biddy-biddy-bum. If I were a wealthy man, I wouldn't have to work hard. Yagga-digga-digga-digga-digga-digga-digga-dum. Lord, who made the lion and the lamb, you decreed I should be what I am. Would it spoil some vast eternal plan if I were a wealthy man?
I think the applause says it all. Wonderful, wonderful singer, worthy winner, the holder of this year's Cleveland medal. It is bass singer Paul Costain. And after this break, we will end this hour as we ended our concert last night.
Manx Radio's coverage of the Manx Music Festival is brought to you by SpectrumWindows.im.
And we just have a couple of moments left. After hundreds and hundreds of classes and so much skill, it's been an absolute privilege to be involved in a tiny way, to have the privilege of playing winning performances and talk to you each night through this week. And how can I end no better than the way we ended our concert on stage in the Royal Hall in the Villa Marina last night with Manx Voices and Ellen Vannin. If you're leaving me now, this is Judith saying thank you very much for your company and I wish you a very good night. But I will be here with an hour of sundown from midnight to 1 and I would love to have your company.